Hi, I'm Tim. I'm CEO of Hingenuity, and Hingenuity is our small family business. We created and manufacture the Cabidor. And today we're going to talk about the Deluxe Mirrored 1.0. And the reason it's deluxe is because it has a mirror. The reason we call it a 1.0 is it's the fully assembled cabinet. You have to put in shelves and hardware. The 2.0 requires a little bit more assembly because it is a flat pack and it comes in a much smaller box. And today we're going to teach you how to assemble and install the 1.0 Deluxe. When you take the Cabidor out of the box and get all your parts, do yourself a favor. For a more pleasant Cabidor assembly experience, put it on a table so you're not trying to kneel on the floor. Put it on the kitchen counter, the dining room table, wherever. Trust me, it'll make a big difference in how you assemble this thing and how much longer it takes and how much better you feel when you're done. All right, it's time to measure the hinge spread and determine whether this is a right or left hinge door. If you're facing the door and the door opens to you, the hinges are on the left, it's a left hinge. And let me show you how I measured to locate the hanging hardware. I measure from bottom of hinge, I'm hooked under the hinge there, to the bottom of the hinge here. You got to either be bottom to bottom or top to top. Now that we've measured the hinges, we need to mount the hanging hardware that corresponds to the spread between the top and bottom hinge. If it's a 3 hinge or 4 hinge door, you can use the top 2, bottom 2, doesn't matter. It'll work either way. Generally like to have the top hardware pretty close to the top in case you have a recessed panel on your door, so you'll have a place to attach the striker plate. The order of hardware is important. Screw, then it goes into the cabinet, then on the inside of the cabinet, flat washer, lock washer, and wing nut. And that locks it in. You don't need any washers on the outside of the hardware, just on the inside of the cabinet. We've had a lot of people call and say the wing nut won't spin behind the trim. You can just turn the screwdriver. Okay, so we'll attach the screws, get this one in place, and then once this one is mounted, that's when you're going to transfer the distance that you measured the hinges. So we'll pull down here. It was 58.5, which is a pretty standard spread. We'll pull down and get an idea about where we are. So let's go 58.5 so you can locate the holes. And the holes can be adjacent to one another. They can be separated. It doesn't matter. Once you hook it on, slide it down to 58.5. Put your washer, your wing nut, tighten it up, and you're ready to go. It's a good idea to put your hanging hardware on first because it can interfere with the shelves because of the screws are on the interior. So put those on because that's going to be a fixed dimension. You're installing the magnet on the top. You've got 2 little Phillips head screws and they go into 2 little pilot holes that are pre-drilled in the top. So it's really easy to do. One point to consider is to make sure you keep the magnet flush with the face of the cabinet so it makes better contact with the striker plate that you'll be sticking on your door, and that keeps the cabinet from swinging freely when you're operating your door. Extremely important, it'll save you a lot of frustration. Make sure you know if it's a right or left hinge door. When determining whether it's a right or left hinge door, that's going to decide the direction of the hanging hardware and the location of the magnet. The hinges that this door is going on are on the right. Your hardware's on the right. Your magnet's on the top. For a left hinge door, all you do is spin the cabinet 180 degrees. You have the magnet on that side, this side, and you have the hanging hardware on the other side. So it works right or left. There is no difference. It's identical. You've even got a little retention lip here on this center fixed shelf. You obviously will have to put the shelves in a different direction based on the little lip that retains the contents on the shelf, but completely reversible. We've had customers that have had the whole thing ready to go and it's on the wrong side. So you have to take it down, pull the hardware off, move the magnet to the other end. So that's a very key step. Find the items that you plan on putting in this thing. Some are going to be tall, some are going to be really short. It's good to determine what you have, kind of get a loose grouping of how you want to put them in here. It doesn't have to be completely full, but the key is to find the tallest item that will go on each shelf and then build according to that. When you put the shelves in, drop it in diagonally. You've got 4 shelf pins, 6 shelves for a total of 24 pins. You just stick the pins in. It's a standard adjustable shelf setup. And then clip the shelf in place, and you're ready to go. And then move on up. Let's pause here for a minute. I want to talk about shelf pin placement. These are the little tiny shelf pins, and you want them on the shelf like this. Since this is a moving shelf, and if you put them down, sometimes they can fall out. So make sure it's up. When you install the shelf pins, this section needs to be pointing up. The end of the shelf locks the shelf pin in place so it's not going to fall out as you're opening the door or opening the Cabidor. So go ahead and mount your shelves where they need to be. And then once you have all of your shelves in place, you need to decide which shelves you're going to use retention rods for. These are to hold taller items from falling. So you've got 8 rods and 8 little rubber grommets. And the reason you have 6 shelves and 8 rods is the bottom of the cabinet and the middle of the cabinet are fixed shelves, so you've got 8 shelves total. The same holes that you use to attach the hanging hardware are what you use to insert the rods. Come in a hole through the outside, slip the grommet on. It's pretty snug because it needs to keep that rod from moving around. And as you work your rod in, you keep that grommet sliding down, slide all the way across to the corresponding hole, and then you push the grommet all the way tight, snug. It's never going to fall out. If you need to move them once it's installed, if you're in a corner, if you're not in a corner, it's easy because these holes are exposed. If you're in a corner, you can take these and slide them out just a little bit. You flex the rod like this so you can get past the trim and you can pull it out. You go to your new spot, find the hole. You need to flex it so you don't scratch up your trim. Put it in place, and now you moved your rod and you didn't have to take your cabinet off the door. All right, let's put in some shelves. And I think now you can see why I urge our customers to put it on a table. If you're kneeling on the floor, your back and your knees are going to be killing you by the time you're done. A helpful hint is if you want to move the shelves up and down, drop them in diagonally, tilt them down where they're flat, and then you can slide down between the shelf pins if you need to slide a shelf down to another position. Let's see, we got one more to go, and then we'll put in some rods. Stay. What I normally do is I will elevate this end with just, a box, a book, anything to tilt it up to keep the shelves from falling forward because they tend to fall forward and it gets kind of frustrating. Now let's go to the rods. Come through the outside hole. I like to go and just position them ahead of time, get them all laid out. Let's go install this thing, shall we? Now I'm going to remove the hinge pins, and the hinge pins will go through our hardware. And I don't have a pin punch or a nail set or anything fancy, it's just a nail. Just an old nail, and you go up through the bottom, tap it out, same on the bottom. Now you need to make sure your door is closed. If you can, lock it so somebody doesn't walk in because you're pulling out the hinge pins. There's the bottom hinge. Here's the top hinge. Put the hinges in a spot that you can reach them easily. because you're going to pick up the cabinet and rest these brackets on top of the top and bottom hinge. It is definitely easier and safer to have someone help you. Okay, that one's in. Now we've got the hinge pins inserted through our hardware. The Cabidor is hanging. Now we just need to attach the striker plate to the door, and that's why I left the striker plate on the magnet. That way you know it's in a perfect position. You peel the sticky back off, close the door, press firmly after you've pulled the liner off the back, and now it's located in the perfect spot. You are now free to load and use your Cabidor.